everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with it's a different type of video, as you can see today, because what you can see in front of you is a bunch of, a real hodgepodge of miniatures in varying states of finishedness. So, what I'm going to explain to you right now is what is we actually doing. So, as you can see, we have 5 guardsmen over here in the form of our sort of firebrands, Cadian firebrands, that we've done a video on in the past. They are not finished, and we have a field ordnance battery over here, which is also not finished. We also have 10 Krieg over here, which are completely unfinished. I mean, they're built. That's part 1, but part 2 would be the priming. But it's a bit late for me to go out and prime, and I wanted to get started on this video. So, what the hell are we doing? Well, today we are going to be fixing the guard. Yes. So, the stuff that you see before you, we have videos on all of it. The heavy weapons team, the Castellan here, we have the Cadian command squad as well. We have the field ordnance battery, and we have Cadian shock troops here. As mentioned, we also have the firebrands as well, and coming very, very soon, or is actually already out as of the kind of filming of this video, we have the Krieg Infantry over here, and we have the field artillery piece over there. Now, that's all got videos, and, well, the Krieg I'm really happy with. I think they look absolutely fantastic, so we're not changing that. But what we do need to do is, in order to kind of finish off this unit, we need to paint these 10. Now, they're not really going to feature in this video, because there's already had a video at this point. So really what we're focusing on today is the Cadians. Now, what we're doing with the Cadians is we're making our first Cadian Infantry section. And, well, I like this tone of green that we've got here, but I really like the tone of green that we've got on the Krieg even better than what we have here. So today we're going to be fixing the mistakes of the past in order to update these to my current sensibilities when it comes to taste. So we're going to be finishing off these 5 basically. We're going to be finishing off that field ordnance gun there, and well, we're going to be then unifying all of it based on the green that you can see here on this gun. That's what we're going for. We're also going to darken down the clothes just a little bit because I want to bring the tone down of these guard just ever so slightly. So today's video is all about how we can do such a thing. We can update our army and bring it all and tie it all together. And I've got some really cool recipes. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. And if you have painted your Cadians according to my videos and you want to do the same, well, this is also a tutorial. So you'll be able to see that. So we're going to finish things off bit by bit. Realistically, we're going to start over here. Then we're going to do all of this. And then we're done. So I'll be right back in just a second. So this is where we're at. These are the firebrands, okay? So we have 5 that are finished and 5 that are not. Now you can see there's a difference here in that this one has got shading and it's got highlights on its gun and on the silver. We've got the markings and things all going on the armor here, and we've got markings on the trousers and stuff like that. And this one doesn't have any of the markings or anything like that. So what we need to do basically in order to get these guys up to scratch is we need to highlight this to get up to there. But we're also going to change things, right? Because we're changing the colour of the armour. Now, when we're changing the colour of the armour, that means that the trousers have to go as well. They can't stay green. So the first port of call here is across all 10 of our firebrands is to take some Black Legion. And we're trying to keep things simple here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Black Legion over the top of the trousers. So goodbye markings. This is going to make them look a little bit different to our other Cadians, but that's okay, because the jackets and that are staying the same. Now, it doesn't matter too much as well if we get any of this Black Legion on the armour, but as mentioned, the reason why we're Black Legioning the trousers is because those knee pads are going to be significantly darker, and they'll just get lost if we don't change the trouser colour. So that's what we need to do first. Black Legion. It's just such a superb paint that it'll cover over absolutely no problem. Don't need to do anything else on this guy, but for the others we will need to do something for the 5 that we haven't finished. So now that we've done the Black Legion, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Vulkan Green. And we're going to use this over top of all the armour. It might take 2 thin coats, but that's okay, we're prepared for that, because it is a layer paint. It's such a nice colour. So with that all done, as you can see, green is a much more Militarum green. I really like this green. But what we're going to do next, and this is a kind of a last edit before we start finishing things off, is we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade and we're going to apply this over top of the clothes. And this is just to take the edge off the warmth that we've got, courtesy of our Wraithbone primer. I just want to bring it down a little bit. One thing I haven't done on this melter gun is taken some thinned down Balthasar Gold and applied it over the top of the heat shield. So with that all done, what we now need to do is we need to take some Nuln Oil, and we're going to use this on our 5 that are unfinished to shade all of the black details, excluding the trousers, because we won't need to do those because they've been this Black Legion over the top of already quite dark Angels green, so we should be fine on that front. But for everything else, I haven't done any shading, so that's what I'm going to do. And then, across all of them, what we need to do is we need to use the Nuln Oil to shade the green. Just like that. And so with that all done, we then take some Agrax Earthshade, we use that to shade the Balthasar Gold. So part 1, we're all good. So we now have the same colour armour. However, these are now much further along than these, which means we need to get these guys now finished and then these guys at the same time, basically. So we need to highlight the black trousers and the green armour over here, and we need to highlight all the black, all the silver and the green trousers, and do the faces and stuff over here. So that's what we're going to do now. So the colour we are going to use first is some thinned down Dawnstone, because this is what we highlighted the other firebrands with. So that is what we must do for these. I'm going to use this to highlight all the black details, including the trousers. And we will do our other trousers as well at the same time. So with the black now all highlighted, what we can do is now finish off our 5 that are done, basically, by taking some thinned down Straken Green. And we're going to use this to highlight all the green. And of course we're going to do this across all 10 of our dudes. So with that all done, we have for now finished 5 of our firebrands into, well, Cadian 8th. And, well, what we're going to do now is we're going to finish off the next 5. Got a couple of things left to do, and one of which is all the faces. So we're going to start by taking a little bit of Black Legion, and we use this over the top of the eyeballs. So with all that Black Legion applied, we then take a tiny little dot Screaming Skull and apply this in the corners of the eyes. And with the eyes all done, we then take some thinned down Flayed One Flesh, and we use this to highlight all their faces. So with all their faces now done, what we can do is we can neaten up one specific detail on the sergeant, which is by taking some thinned down Corax White and using this to pick out the stripes and the trim. And so with that all done, we're now going to finish off part 1, basically, by taking some thinned down Ironbreaker and using that to highlight all the silver details. There is actually one last thing left to do, which is to take some thinned down Runelord Brass and use this to highlight the heat shield of our melter gun. So there we have it. The first part of our Cadians video is now, well, done. As you can see, all 10 of our models are painted, but we need to do the bases. So whilst we're waiting for the basing mixture to dry, we'll be moving on to the other ones. But a little refresher course for those of you who don't know, the recipe I have for my Cadians is to use some Armageddon Dust. So we're going to do that now and wait for it to dry. And then once it's fully dry, we'll come back and fix it. Well, finish it. And we should be able to do that probably once we've done all of the highlighting and layering on the rest of our Cadians. Well, the infantry. Because the next part is basically going to be a lesson in batch painting. And we're only batch painting 3 paint colours. But we'll get to it in just a minute. So now what we need to do is turn this into this. So like I said, we're going to be darkening down everything and bringing it all together. Now, we do have 10 Cadian shock troops to do. We have the heavy weapons squad to do. We have the command squad to do. And we have a Castellan to do. And then we will do the field ordnance battery last. So it's exactly the same as what we've already done. We're going to take some thinned down Vulkan Green. Take some thinned down Vulkan Green, and we're going to apply this over top of all of the green. Now, because this stuff is a little bit darker, it probably won't require 2 thin coats, and it also probably won't require that much in the way of shading, like the Nuln Oil. So what we can do here is we can kind of just try and avoid the recesses. But as mentioned, we're going to do this in batches of 5 to just make things a little bit more manageable. And a little bit easier. And I realise all of that was probably out of focus. So, we'll do a little bit of it in focus, shall we? That'd be good. As you can see, this Vulkan Green covers over this slightly darker green much nicer. Than our previous brighter ones. After just one layer of Vulkan Green, we can actually do our next thing, which is to take a small amount of Agrax Earthshade, not very much here, and we're just going to apply this over the top of the fatigues, but only the fatigues. We don't need to apply this over the top of areas like the banner and stuff like that. And so with that Agrax Earthshade all applied, we are then going to take some thin down Straken Green, and we're going to use that to highlight all of our green. So with batch number 1 all done, in the form of the command squad, there you go. They look absolutely fantastic. And we can match them up. So for example, here's these two. And they're the ones we've just done. There we go. There's a slight tonal difference because we've got the black trousers, but that's okay. You know, that's fine. That's a second half of the platoon, and if we need to split them out, we've got 2 units that can be differentiated by the colour of their trousers. So I'm very happy with that. So what that means now is we're still waiting for those bases to dry on those 5 that we've done before. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do 3 more batches. And it's exactly the same. Nothing changes here. So we're going to be doing a batch that consists of these heavy weapons there. So we've got to just, again, same, change the fatigues and the green armour. So we're going to do them. At the same time as them, we will also do the Castellan. Now the Castellan, he's already got slightly darker clothes, so we don't actually need to change his fatigues, so we just need to change his armour. That's the only thing that's different here. So that's one more batch, so 4 miniatures there, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. It's a slightly bigger batch than we would do normally, but it is still only 4 models. We're then going to do another batch of 5 Cadian shock troops. Here they are. And then we have another batch that's already lined up and ready to go in the form of the other 5 Cadian shock troops. So we've got 3 more batches to complete in exactly the same way. So as you can see, we're done on most of the Cadians. We've done the 10 that were in that darker green, we've done the heavy weapon squad, we've done the Castellan, we've done the command squad, and we've done the 5 firebrands that were finished. Now we've just got to finish these 5 and before we embark upon the Field Ordnance battery. And whilst it might seem strange because part of the Field Ordnance battery is that we are going to have to base it, this way we can actually just, you know, finish off this section. And this is normally what I would do for something like this when I'm batch painting, as I am anyway. So with our guys that we've done the Armageddon Dust on and they've now fully dried, what we're going to do is take some Gore-Grunta Fur and apply this over the top. Once all that Gore-Grunta Fur is applied and dry, we then add an absolute Warhipster classic in the form of Tyrant Skull as a dry brush over the top. And then it's a case of adding some tufts, and I'm using some beige 2mm tufts from Gamer's Grass, because on the old ones I used 6mm ones, but they're quite tall, so I'm just going to use these slightly smaller ones. So it looks better on these smaller bases. It's because I didn't know smaller ones existed before. Because I'm an idiot. And so to match things up with the rest of them, I'm then going to do 2 layers of Steel Legion Drab around the rim of the base. So there it is. 20 infantry, a heavy weapon squad, a Castellan and a command squad. Now all batch painted and made all looking consistent, and they look fantastic. Even in the top down view, I think they look great. So there's one thing left to do, which is, well, there's 2 things left to do technically, which is to finish this and to fix this, because this will then kind of slot in here like so. And then that one will go like that, and we'll have our full infantry section. And then the Krieg, what we'll have is we'll have 20 infantry. We'll hopefully get a heavy weapon squad, and then we will have a command squad as well, and the big artillery piece, which kind of matches everything up. The only thing that we wouldn't have as an equivalent here is a Castellan, because the Krieg don't get one, basically. But I might do something like paint an Inquisitor or something to lead the Krieg. So we're going to get this all cleaned up, and then we're going to get on with those Field Ordnance batteries. So before we fix the other one, we're going to finish this one. And, well, I can only apologise for the Eldari Emerald splodges here. As some of you will know, I used this base to demonstrate testing applying contrast paints on a live stream a couple of days ago. So we're going to work on this one first, get it up to standard, and then when it comes to fixing the green, we'll do it at the same time as the other one, basically, is to explain what we're doing. So clearly what happened when I was painting this one is I didn't finish off doing the fatigues. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over top of the fatigues of this guy just to get it all up to the same level. So with that Skeleton Horde all applied, they're now all got Skeleton Horde fatigues. So the next colour, logically, is to do all of the green. So this means that I actually lied to you in the last take, because what we are going to do is we're going to take that thinned down Vulkan Green, and we are going to apply this over top of the blast shield and all of the armour as well. And we're going to do this on both of them. Now it might take 2 thin coats, and if it does, that's okay. So with that Vulkan Green applied over, well, both of them, as you can see, we now pop this one to one side for a little while, because we've got some base coats to apply. Now, the first of these is some Wyldwood, and we're going to be applying this over top of all of the kind of leather straps and these wraps on the boots. So with that all done, we're then going to take some Flesh Tearers Red and we're going to apply it over these kind of, well, they're artillery patches basically. And with that Flesh Tearers Red applied, we're then going to take some Black Legion. And we're going to apply this over top of kind of remaining areas on the boots, the casing of that las gun that's there. Going to apply it over top of the little face masks as well, some of them are wearing. Like in here. Like that. We're going to apply it over the top of their collars as well. And we're also going to apply this over the top of things like the binoculars and stuff like that. And so with all that Black Legion applied, I then take some Guilliman Flesh and apply this over top of any visible skin. So with that all done, our next colour is to take some Militarum Green and we're going to apply this over the top of the crate. And so with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors and we're going to apply this over top of all of our remaining details. Now it might take a couple of thin coats, for example here on the cannon, because it's a large area, but If it does, that's okay. So with that all done, it's time to add some shades, and the first of these is going to be some Nuln Oil. We're going to apply this over the top of the silver. Like so. And what we're also going to do, just on this guy, not on the other one, is we're going to apply the Nuln Oil over the top of the armour of the crew. We're not going to do it on the other one because the other one already had green on there. So the armour is sufficiently dark. And we don't need to do it on these blast shields either, because, well, there's not really much in the way of recesses. They've also been done over the top of dark green. The only thing we really need to do is shade these metallic bits here. With all that Nuln Oil applied, we're then going to take some Agrax Earthshade and we're going to apply this over top of the fatigues across both of our guns, just like we've done consistently across all of our Cadians. So with all that Agrax Earthshade applied, it feels like it would be rude not to finish off this guy by doing the first highlight on this guy and on the other one. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Straken Green. I'm going to use this to highlight all of our green that we painted with Vulkan Green. So that's all the armour and the blast shields. So with that Straken Green applied, this one is now finished, as you can see. So I'm going to pop that to one side, well, into the done pile basically. And what we're going to do now is we're going to rattle through our last couple of highlights for our last one. So the colour we're going to be using, according to the old tutorial, is some thinned down Waaagh Flesh, and we're going to be using this to highlight the gun carriage. As over that done, we then take some thinned down Dawnstone, and we use this to highlight all of the black details, but not the tyres. We don't need to highlight those. And then next up we're going to do a really quick thing, which is to take some thinned down Corax White and use this to pick out the Sergeant's stripes. So with the Sergeant's stripes done, we want to take a tiny amount of Black Legion and we apply it over the top of the eyes. And so with that then done, take a teeny tiny little dot of Screaming Skull and apply this in the corners of each of the eyes. And so with that all done, we're then going to take since the end down Ironbreaker. I'm going to use this to highlight all the silver. And so with that all done, we then want to take some Flesh Tearers Red and apply this over top of all of the little lenses and the screens. So everything's painted, which means now we just have the one final step, which is to do the base. And we're going to do the base in exactly the same way as we did our shock troopers earlier, with the Armageddon Dust, a bit of Gore-Grunta Fur, and some Tyrant Skull. It's exciting, isn't it? So there we have it. From where we started, it's a completely different force now. I really like it. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. It's a lot darker, a lot more kind of grittier in many ways. Like the fatigues, for example, are just so much nicer with that Agrax Earthshade over the top. And the Vulkan Green, I love that colour, man. That colour is so nice. But there we go. 20 guardsmen, a command squad, a Castellan, 3 heavy weapons, and an ordnance field battery. Now, I didn't do the Krieg. I've run out of time to do the Krieg for now, so we're going to do some other stuff for a bit. But, yeah. Check it out. It's like 400 points. Almost. Maybe. I don't know. It's not enough, but this is just the first step. So it didn't occur to me until after I'd finished the video to actually film a side-by-side. Apart from the ones we did in the video. But I went into the archives and I found the old footage, and you can see on the right that's the old Cadians, and on the left that's the new, and that's the same throughout this. So the right we have quite a warm, almost emerald green type thing, and it's perfectly pleasant. It's lovely, and the fatigues are really bright, very kind of almost kind of bone-like quality. Whereas on the left we've gone for a much more kind of aged quality to the fatigues, and of course the green of the armor is much darker, so it's much more kind of, well, a military green. I think I much prefer it. You might not, but that's okay. So yeah, as you can see, I mean, you can see it here on the field ordnance battery, 100% there, especially on the kind of those blast shields. I just think the new style looks so much better, so much more grimdark, so much more in keeping with the setting. And you can see it here, a massive difference between the firebrands and, well, what is now Cadian 8th, I guess. I think it's the 8th. I'm not entirely certain. But there you go. We're done. All good. Looking great.
If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/Warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.